Even though it's only been around for about 6 years now, the DC Extended Universe has already shown off a bunch of extremely powerful characters, including Superman, Wonder Woman, the old gods, the new gods, and while we have seen these guys and gals pulling off some pretty impressive feats, there's still one character in this universe that could put them all to shame.
Listen, I have serious responsibilities now, okay? But that's cool, because I can carry that burden with my hands, lining with my hands.
Hey, I did say could. Seriously though, Billy Batson, aka Shazam, is potentially one of the most powerful characters in the DCEU. I say potentially because even though we did get a lot of really cool feats in his first solo outing, including punching through concrete, moving faster than most people can react, and tanking hits from people just as strong as he is, a lot of his higher level feats actually came from his foster siblings when he shared his power with them at the end of the movie. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Even then though, the 7 deadly sins mention that Billy's still figuring out how his powers work and that he'll eventually get stronger over time.
Kill the champion before he learns his true potential.
So even though he may not be at his peak just yet, the question still stands. How powerful is the DCEU version of Shazam? Well, let's take a look and find out. First, let's start with his strength. Now, as we've seen throughout the movie, Billy can easily ragdoll a bunch of grown dudes, which, as I've mentioned in a bunch of my other videos, would mean that Billy can casually handle about 195 pounds, or about 88 kilograms. Skipping forward a bit, we can also see that Billy's strong enough to lift cars, as we see when he messes with the school bullies and causes their truck to crash in front of the school. Now, according to user Truck Guy at the Internet Movie Car Database, even though this looks like a Ford F-150 Raptor at first glance, this is actually a 2014 Ford F-150 Super Cab modded out to look like a Raptor. Seriously, the dude on the grill rather than the Ford logo should have been a pretty huge giveaway that these morons messed with this thing at least a little bit. Seriously though, the 2014 Super Cab can have a curb weight, meaning the weight of the car without anything or anyone in it, of up to 6,113 pounds, or about 2,773 kilograms, or about 3 tons. Keep in mind though, Billy wasn't able to fly at this point in the movie, meaning he would have had to have done something else to get it to drop in front of them like that, like carry it up a building or stand somewhere off camera and just chuck that thing in the air. Either way, the force he would have had to have put into this would have been way higher than just lifting something that weighed a few tons. Probably the best strength feat Billy showed off himself though was that bus catch about halfway through the movie. While he was dicking around with his lightning powers, Billy accidentally caused a bus to crash and fall off an expressway, but thankfully, he managed to catch it at the last minute. From what I can find, the bus is a 1999 New Flyer D40, which can weigh low end about 27,500 pounds or 12,473.79 kilograms or about 14 tons. And after wasting a ton more time than I probably needed to, I'm pretty sure there's about 9 people on the bus, including the driver, with a split of about 5 men and 4 women. I could be wrong about that count though, so if somebody wants to fact check me on that, please let me know in the comments. Assuming I am right about the count though, and after factoring in the average weight of both US men and women to the mix, we can see that Billy caught an additional 1,711 pounds or 776 kilograms. Adding that to the weight of the bus means that Billy managed to catch a whopping 29,211 pounds or 13,249.79 kilograms or about 14.6 tons. As impressive as that is though, believe it or not, we're still not done with this feat yet. Remember how I mentioned earlier that the bus was falling off that expressway? Yeah, Billy catching it means he also would have had to endure and overpower all that impact force the bus would have built up while falling towards him, which would have made it feel a lot heavier. So how much was Billy actually catching then? Well, using this freefall formula, the square root of 2 times the force of gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared, times the height the bus fell, we can figure out the speed the bus would have reached while falling, then use that to figure out the deceleration rate Billy applied to it. So considering how the shooting location for this scene was the Gardner Expressway in Toronto, this would mean that the bus fell the expressway's full height of about 49 feet, or about 15 meters then, right?
Wrong!
Seriously though, considering how Billy managed to pull off the catch, we can see that the bus actually stopped short at about Shazam's height. So we'll need to subtract that from the initial 15 meters to figure out how far the bus actually fell. Now, I'm not entirely sure if they made Zachary Levi any taller, or if he's even supposed to be any taller as Shazam, so I'm just gonna go with his real life height and say that the bus stopped 6 feet 4 inches or about 1.9 meters from hitting the ground, meaning it actually only fell about 13.1 meters. And now that we know that, we can plug everything into our formula, giving us this, and doing the math tells us that the bus, by the time it reached Billy, was falling at a speed of about 16.02 meters per second. Assuming he completely stopped the bus in about half a second, and plugging both of those numbers into the acceleration formula gives us this, and doing the math tells us that Billy's catch managed to exert a deceleration rate of 32.04 meters per second squared. And now that we know that, we can plug both the weight of the bus and the deceleration rate we just found a minute ago into the formula for force, giving us this. And finally, after doing some simple math, we can see that the total force exerted by Billy while catching a falling bus is about 424,523 newtons, or about 47 tons of force.
Holy shit.
Now that's definitely impressive, but we technically get one more feat, this time from his brother Pedro, who managed to catch and support a falling Ferris wheel. Remember how I mentioned earlier that some of Billy's feats actually come from his siblings? Well, towards the end of the movie, he actually managed to share his power with them the same way he got his power from the wizard Shazam, with each sibling using a different power, like flight, super speed, or in Pedro's case, super strength. So yeah, Billy may not have supported a falling Ferris wheel himself, but considering how it was a portion of his power that made this feat possible in the first place, it makes sense that Billy would be able to do it too, right? Speaking of super speed though, we do see Billy showing off some decent speed feats, like racing across a park to hit some mugger or racing across the street to save his sister, but easily one of his best feats is when his youngest sister Darla managed to dodge the lightning both Savannah and her brother Eugene threw her way. How fast is that? Well, we can figure out the Eugene lightning throw by dividing the distance between Darla and Eugene by the speed of lightning to find the time frame Darla would have to react, then taking that number and dividing it by the distance Darla moved to find our answer. Now, as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, lightning moves at about 220,000 miles an hour, or about 354,056 kilometers an hour, and judging from this shot, it looks like Darla moved over towards Freddy after Billy and Savannah took off, with Eugene staying where he is. Using Darla's actress, Megan Good, as a scale, we can see that Darla is about 2.75 goods away from Eugene, and considering how she's about 1.65 meters tall in real life, this would mean that there's only about 5 meters, or about 16 feet, of distance between them. This would mean that Darla would only have about 51 microseconds to dodge the lightning before it hit her, which she clearly does by speeding past her sister, who seems to be about 1.65 meters away from Darla. Plugging both of these numbers into our usual velocity formula gives us this, and doing some simple math tells us that, in dodging Eugene's lightning, Darla managed to move at a speed of about 72,371 miles an hour, or about 116,469 kilometers an hour, or about Mach 94. Now I know some of you guys might not agree with me using Darla to figure out Billy's speed, same with giving him the Ferris wheel feat I mentioned earlier, but considering how Billy managed to move so fast that he seemed to be in his own version of flash time in a deleted scene, I'd say Billy could move this fast if he wanted to, we just never really see it for some reason. Now as for his durability, there isn't really that much for us to work with here. Yeah, he managed to get slammed by cars, shot in the face, and was even set on fire once, but a lot of the hits he takes from Savannah and the Sins really aren't all that quantifiable, if only because it's not entirely clear how strong some of these guys are supposed to be. Like, do the Sins scale to Billy, or does Billy scale to them? Real chicken or the egg scenario over here. Having said that though, there was a scene that may give Billy some pretty crazy durability feats. See, when he first meets Savannah, the good doctor not only claims that only magic can hurt magic users, but that the weapons of man can't do anything to magic users.
The weapons of man draw no blood from our kind. The only thing that extinguishes magic is magic.
Now true, this could be an over-exaggeration, but at the same time, we did see Billy get shot in the face and hit by cars like I mentioned earlier, and both times he seemed completely fine afterwards, so it's definitely possible that Savannah's telling the truth here. So assuming that's true, this could mean that Billy could pull a Superman if he wanted to, and tank a nuke to the face, which, even lowballing it and saying somebody threw the Fat Man nuke from World War II at him, means that Billy could withstand 21 kilotons of TNT. Hell, he might not even be knocked out afterwards. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, it's important to remember that we haven't seen Billy get hit with that much force yet, but it also doesn't mean that he couldn't tank it either, so I guess we'll just have to wait till the sequel comes out to see better examples of Billy's durability. Now all of that may sound impressive, but remember how I said at the beginning of this video that Billy was still figuring out his power and he could get even stronger as time moves on? Well, if you're like me, then hearing something like that makes you wonder how much more powerful the Shazam form could be at Billy's peak. I mean, Billy's supposed to be about Superman's equal in the comics, so he'll probably be about that powerful in the movies, right? Well, maybe, but then again, he could be even more powerful. Remember the scene when Savannah attacked the board meeting at his dad's company? After killing almost everybody in the room, Savannah mentions that nobody's as powerful as him, with the Sins responding saying that the Wizard's champion is.
This is power, more than anyone has.
There is one more powerful.
The wizard found his champion.
It may just sound like cliche villain dialogue, but think about it. Wouldn't these powerful entities know about anybody on the Justice League? Like Superman, Wonder Woman, or even the Flash? I mean, if nobody has the same power level as Billy or Savannah, then this could support the idea that Billy, as Shazam, could scale to some of the best feats from the rest of the DCEU, like Wonder Woman killing Ares, Superman knocking Steppenwolf on his ass, all that good stuff. At the same time though, we really haven't seen enough from Billy to say whether or not he will reach those same power levels in his later appearances, but it's definitely possible, in my opinion anyway. But I guess we'll see what happens when we see Billy and the Marvel family on screen again in the future. But anyways guys, that's my take on how powerful the DCEU version of Shazam is. If you guys agreed with anything I said in this video, or if you have your own calculations you want to throw out there, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and click that like button, and if you're new, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button too. I've also got links to my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. You should probably check those out too. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can click the link to my last video. It's right there in the middle of your screen. Alright, and I will see you all next time.